Chuck Heibel, and I'm 73.
Okay. And you were in the military, so what motivated you to join the military?
I've always felt that I should do my part, and so when I got out of school, I joined the military, 1969.
Very good. That was my next question. So where were you stationed and when?
I was stationed, my main station was in South Korea on the DMZ from 1969 to 1970.
And what were your duties when you were there?
I was an S4, which was a recon unit for an engineering unit, and I was a Jeep driver for a captain.
Okay. And then what did you know about Agent Orange when you were there?
We had no idea what Agent Orange was. Nobody ever talked about Agent Orange when we were there whatsoever.
Were you aware that defoliants were being sprayed?
Yes, we was on the DMZ and we'd seen the planes when they came over and sprayed Agent Orange, yes.
But you didn't know what it was?
No, we knew that it was a brush killer and weed killer to kill all the brush, the foliage off of the trees, so we wouldn't have to worry about the North Koreans coming into our compound at night. We was about, at that point, we was probably about 6 or 7 miles from the DMZ, which was the Demilitarized Zone in South Korea.
Okay. And so were you just told by the government that it was harmless?
We weren't told anything, whether it was harmless. We just had no idea. We just knew they were spraying brush, and we didn't know what they were spraying it with at that time. It never ever come up as a question, to my knowledge, from anybody. We just assumed that the military knew what they were spraying, and whether or not at that point did they know it was going to affect so many people, I have no idea. We didn't find that out until later on, and actually I found it out for me in 2024 that more than likely my condition was, more likely than not, my condition was caused from the Agent Orange that they sprayed to kill foliage.
Yeah. And what are the complications that you have now? What is the condition that you were diagnosed with?
It's CBD, which is called cortico-basal degeneration. Some people call it cortico-basal syndrome. It's the same thing. It affects the nervous system in the brain. Anyway, your brain starts slowly dying. Sometimes it's difficult. Excuse me, it's difficult to talk about.
Yeah. How has it affected your life?
Well, I figured I'd start seeing symptoms as early as early 2022, and I kind of passed it off as I was getting older and some of the issues that I was having, and then the issues continued to get worse, and then I decided to seek out and see a neurologist. And then in 2024, March of 2024, a neurologist said that I had CBD, and we had a long conversation about that and the effects, and Anyway, as you can see, that it not only it affects my life, but it affects everyone else's life that's around me. That we all deal with. It's not an individual problem. It's anybody who is around you is affected by it also.
Yeah. And what treatments are you receiving, and have those been covered by the government?
Do what?
What treatments are you receiving, and
Well,
have those been covered by the government?
The government, once I was diagnosed with it, the government never did come forward and say that your issues were caused by Agent Orange. I actually had to file through the Disabled Veterans Association, and I filed it for a claim for compensation, disability, and once I filed that letter, by June of that year, I was on a fast track for the for 100% disability.
When did you receive it?
I started receiving 100% disability in, I guess, latter part of June of 2024.
Okay. And how has the government aided you through your new health complications?
The
Just
government's
monetarily?
been there 100%, giving me anything that I need from a standpoint of medication to help with some of the stiffness and rigidness that I have in my left side of my body, and providing occupational therapy, mental health therapy, physical therapy, and I can say that once the claim was filed, they've been there 100%.
Are they covering 100% of your healthcare
Yes,
costs?
they are.
How hard was that? Was it a hard battle to get that
No,
paid for?
no. Once I filed the claim in 2024 March, everything went back retroactive to that day that I filed the claim, and everything has been they've been there the whole process, never denied me anything. Anything I asked for, they granted, and so far everything's doing good. Unfortunately, there's no there's no medicine to slow it down. There's no medicine to stop it. It just runs a process, and it's rare enough that there's not that many cases of this CBD, but so they don't have a pattern. They don't create a pattern that you'll be here at stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Everybody's different. Every person who has this is different. Some people it affect quicker, some people slower. Sometimes they say it might jump to your right side. There's nothing there that's a guideline that they can say that this is what's going to happen to you in 25, this is what's going to happen to you in 26. Everybody's different from what I understand. No two people are the same as far as the progression is concerned and what happens to you.
Yeah. And how did you know that you were possibly going to be eligible for government compensation, or that it was caused by Agent Orange? Was it your doctor? Did your doctor inform you?
No, my doctor, he really didn't say either way. I contacted the Disabled Veterans Administration, DVA, and when I sat down and talked with them at the VA, they're a government they're a nonprofit organization that represents veterans and active military. And when I talked to them, that's when I found out at that point that about the Agent Orange, and it was the same thing as the guys who were in Vietnam. You know, all the other ones in Vietnam who were sprayed with the Agent Orange also. And we just once the claim was filed in March of 24, then everything started processing. really quickly at that point. You know, some people said it took years to process. When in my condition, at what stage I guess I was at, I was put on a fast track, and I knew roughly 3 or 4 months later that at that point I was considered 100% disabled.
And do you think that this is an issue that needs to have more attention and awareness?
Yes, it is, and I think the military, regardless of what branch you're in, I think they should have, everybody who, they know everybody that was in Vietnam, they know everybody that was in South Korea on the DMZ, and they know everybody who was in, I believe the other place they sprayed it in 68, 69 was Guam. And I think the military had the responsibility to notify everybody that was in those fields at that particular time when the spraying was going on, and as long as you were there even afterwards when you were still in the spray zone, that the military should have contacted each individual personally and notified them. I don't think that the veterans, without seeking help from the DAV or other organizations, they wouldn't have been told about it from the military. The military never contacted me one time. Once I filed a claim, then the military again was on board, and they've been there 100% before. But if I would have not have contacted the DAV in my situation, some people go through the AMVET, some people go through American Legion. They all have representatives there that help the VA, help military guys. But if you don't know about it, then you can't claim it. So you have to wonder how many people out there have already died from it and are suffering symptoms from it and still don't know about the Agent Orange and they was in that zone when it was sprayed.
That's all my questions. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, like I said, since I've been diagnosed with it, the military's been there for me. The veterans have been there for me, and anything that I needed, they've never hesitated. Anything that the doctors, my team of, the team of doctors that I have, anything that they request for me, rather from a therapy standpoint, they've always been there 100%.